Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 6A in mid-Michigan, and today is our day for our garden tour and walkabout. So I have been at soccer all day, so you'll have to forgive how I look, but I am just going to turn the camera around and we're going to start looking at plants instead. All right, here we go. Now I don't know if you remember, but it's been probably about a month and a half since we planted these carex here, and they are doing so good. I am so impressed with them. They were getting way too much rain, but this whole week we have been getting like 85-degree temperatures, and so no rain and plenty of sunshine, which we have been missing. And that's actually really helped these hydrangeas over here as well, which normally you would think of these as a shade plant, but they were just getting way too much water and they were yellowing, but now they're starting to green up and put on some nice new growth, so that is fantastic. I've just come through and done a little watering because things were looking a little bit wilty because of the fact that, you know, we have not gotten much rain. We actually have some asters that are starting to bloom around the garden, and I've planted these in some places, but then they just kind of reseed themselves and pop up in different spots. So these are just kind of around this azalea, and I did plant one back here at one point, but then it never really came back, and now I kind of have some blooms, and boy will I enjoy them because they're so pretty. I've got one more that is over here by the firelight too. We'll take a peek at that in just a second. So this front area is looking pretty good, but like I said, it's droopy right now. It has been no rain and not super humid, so definitely needed to come through and do some watering. This sensitive fern that I got is not doing very well. It definitely is what I would consider to be sensitive and does not like to be in a pot, so I don't recommend that one for a pot at all, but I will try that one out in my way back garden at some point. It's got some nice new fronds over here, so I don't think it's totally shot or anything. I just am not sure why it's as unhappy as it is, and I'm chalking it up to the fact that some ferns do not like to be pot bound, just the way that they are. They don't really like to have their roots contained that way. We've got some nice new growth on this juniper that we have been kind of growing up and topiarying it so that it is not just a rug juniper, but so that it gets some height on it, and we'll have to continue to do that over time. So you see we've gotten a couple inches of growth, and I'll have to keep that leader pinned on there so that it continues to grow upwards. And I want to get it probably to the height of the actual stake that's in that pot right now. Well, I'm just about ready to plant out this umbrella pine, which has been hanging out in this container and doing really well. It's picked up a nice little seedling of a pretty little viola that seeded itself in here. So that's starting to bloom as well, which is so cute. My eclipse hydrangea, I also have a good idea of where I'm going to plant this one out, and this one's going to go in the back. And I'm looking forward to doing that within the next few weeks because this one definitely has had some deer browsing on it. You can see the damage on the leaves and where they've eaten them off. So we're going to get that into the back garden where the deer do not browse. I also am just about ready to plant this Niagara Falls white pine, and I'm really looking forward to that because it's going to replace something that I just haven't really been that happy with. So I'll let you know a little bit more about that as we go. And here is that other aster I was telling you about right here by the firelight. It's kind of glowing a little bit back here. It's kind of mingling with the can-do hydrangea back there, which has also kind of drooped a little bit today and probably needs a little bit of water, but we'll wait and see because it's a little early yet, so it might perk back up before the end of the evening. Let's take a look at the sunbed from this side because right now it's looking pretty colorful. We have some really nice color in the orange mums and the kind of pinky purple mums that are over there. And so it's really starting to turn fall. I don't know about you guys, but we have had In the last couple of weeks, some of our maple trees in this area are actually turning colors already. And you'll see that as well on this oak leaf hydrangea here. Last week we had just tinges, but now you can see actual total leaves that have turned color because of the cool nights. So definitely getting an early fall, I think, this year. So let's walk around the front of this garden bed. I still have not gotten out that red bud there. Oh, there's a bunny in here. Our Dreamland geranium is putting out some new fresh flowers, which are just this beautiful light pink that has some wonderful veining in it. Isn't that pretty? I wasn't expecting that little flush of blooms. But now we're finally starting to get some bud opening on the sedum out here. I thought they might just go bad because of how much rain we had, but they're doing really well now, and I'm super happy with the sunshine that we're getting. So just walk on through this path. You can see those veronicas that we cut back are doing really well. They just look like these nice green mounds. Same with the daisies that we cut back as well. So the new garden bed over here, I was looking back at pictures from last year and I couldn't believe, how empty it was last year. And it's really, really filled in. I think a lot of the credit goes to those purple fountain grasses, which are just annuals, but next year, even when they're gone, I think we'll still have plenty that is going to be filling this bed as they grow on. Still having some blooms on the Sonic Bloom Pink Weigela here. And they leave behind these pretty starry-like ends. I'm not sure what you would call those. They're not really seed pods, I don't think, because I don't really see them producing seeds. But the junipers are great. They're actually putting on some berries, so they must be happy. They've gone through a lot this year with so much water, and then now finally some drier conditions for them. So I think this bed is looking really nice, and I'm really glad that we took the time to put these boxwoods over here with the variegation on them, because I think they add a nice brightness to the garden bed as well, just a little bit more color. Now you may be able to tell that my husband just mowed the lawn, and doesn't it look pretty? It's just gorgeous in terms of the color that it is still this time of year. We really typically have brown grass this time of year. It starts to green up in September, but normally not until October when it cools down quite a bit. Thanks for joining me as I mulched this area of the garden. It's super happy with the sunlight and the extra warmth that it's been getting, as well as having that little bit of mulch on it. We have lots of more buds that are coming on these lavenders here, so I expect that we'll see quite a few more blooms before the end of this season. We even have some new growth on this blue shadow fothergilla right now. Those leaves are so beautiful and silvery blue. I love the colors that are happening back here between our limelight hydrangea here, which has turned pink, and the orange barberry next to it. We're even getting some blooms from the sedum in and amongst the sumac, which I did cut back. So you'll see it's no longer climbing up the wall here, but it is a really nice deep green shiny leaf filler throughout this garden bed that I think just helps keep it looking rather lush and alive, if you will, when other things are turning brown or getting crispy. For example, this lily of the valley right there. You can see this viburnum here. This is one of our snowball viburnum that is the opening day viburnum, and this one is starting to turn color. They have really pretty colors on them in the fall, and then they have such beautiful snowball flowers on them in the spring, so definitely multi-season interest there. And you can still see the pop of color that we have right here in the brick garden bed. Gotten a lot of questions from people about how this brick garden bed has lasted because of the fact that I just put it together and didn't use any type of, glue to hold the bricks together, no mortar, nothing like that. And it's doing quite well. I think that it's going to last for quite a few more years if I want it to. So yeah, I'm happy with having put that there because it definitely makes a difference having this little island bed. I did leave this millet, and thank you to those of you who commented and kind of told me what it was. I definitely think this came in from a bird because we have some millet in some fields nearby. Doesn't this look pretty with the elderberry kind of in that weeping habit now? It's really getting quite large. This one is much bigger than the one that's further out front where the deer browse it every year. So this is what I expected the other one to get like as well, but obviously this one has gotten much bigger than the others. But I love it. Getting a few stray blooms on this Johnson's Blue geranium here at the end of the season. And let's head into the back garden, shall we? Well, the star of the back garden continues to be the Tianshan 7 sunflowers that are blooming. They continue to be in pretty much what I would consider to be full bloom. And this is probably the 3rd week that we've been going on that way. Wouldn't you say? I think so. They're just so beautiful and so unique. Whenever people come into my back garden, like when we're having people over to go in the pool or something like that, they ask me questions about this, like what is that tree with those leaves, because the leaves are so special. Can you see all of the pollinators on this plant? I don't know if you can see how much activity is going on right now, but it's like this all day long. And again, the hummingbirds love this as well. So we'll just kind of take a circle around here so you can see it from all different angles, because it really is glorious. I'm really happy to have 2 of them as well, to have a matching pair, so I hope they live long and prosper, in the words of Star Trek. We have some nice blooms that have been going on too with this Rose of Sharon, and it's been a beautiful color combo with the purple, this is the lavender chiffon variety. And that purple with the white sure is pretty, isn't it? And we've been getting some random late blooms on the hibiscus as well. So over here you'll be able to see not only do we have the white blooms from the 7 sunflower and the lavender, but we also have kind of that chartreuse, like magenta bloom. Getting my colors all mixed up right now. Anyhow, it really is quite gorgeous. And we still have snapdragons that are blooming over here along the deck. And the sedums are looking really beautiful in this garden bed, as well as the, I would think these are the jazzberry petunias from Proven Winners. So these have come out really well. Those were a clearance plant that I got. We planted those just before I had the garden tour this year, and they've really filled in nicely here. At first they were eaten a little bit by the bunnies, but then they finally gave up. Well, let's take a look at this long border over here. This one hasn't changed a whole lot since last week. We still have the purple plum in all of its color. It doesn't change a ton in the fall, but we do get a little bit of a hue change on that, so we'll be watching for that soon. Autumn Jubilee over here, or Amber Jubilee 9-bark, is not real happy right now. I think it's kind of dry. I'm not sure what's going on with it, so I'm just kind of keeping my eye on it, but I think it's kind of stressed. So I'm gonna leave it be for a while and we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. I love the limey colors over here that light up this corner though, because otherwise it is very dark and very well shaded by the neighbor's big maple tree, which is really nice. We still need to come through and get out some of the hostas. I know I've been talking for a while. I had pulled some hostas from this area. They've all filled back in completely. So I need to get those out so that I can provide more room for the hydrangea that is back there, because I really want that to have more room to shine. I think this is a beautiful area in the garden, and I'm looking forward to having that little bit of extra height from the hydrangea over here. Also, the pieris will be providing some height as well over the coming years as this one grows on. It may even need to be moved. We'll see. I'm not sure how well they take to pruning, so I might try that first and see how that goes before I move this. But it's got so many buds all over it still. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but I feel like I've got a jungle back here. There's definitely lots and lots of plants that are doing really well and have been really healthy. Now here's a little surprise to my left though. I have a hellebore, which is I think it's called pink frost. Look at this, it's bloomed and it has another bud that's coming. So a little bit of oddity going on in my garden. I think from the chills and the cold overnights that we had, that it kind of got a little bit confused. All of the seed heads on this Hakona Chloe grass are so pretty. They're very fine texture. I'm hoping that it cools down a little bit soon so that we can get to some of these projects that I've been talking about, because it's just been too hot to get out in the garden, along with our family schedule of so many soccer games. So I love going to the soccer games, but it means I don't get anything done in the garden oftentimes. Just look at how full and luscious these are. I definitely have decided I'm going to dig up the astilbes over here. I may even dig up some of the brunnera. But I have to decide what I'm going to put in its place. I haven't decided that yet. I might just leave the brunnera and replace the astilbe with something and then go from there. Now you can see the leaves on this panicle hydrangea. If you're ever wondering what it looks like when your panicle hydrangea needs water, that's this right now. You see how they're drooping straight down to the ground? This one definitely needs some water. I need to come through and give this garden bed a little bit of TLC. It looks so different, you guys, without the red bud that we had in here that I took out recently. I'm glad to have it out because it was diseased and I really needed to take it out, but it feels so different and so much more open. So I'm looking forward to getting some height back into that garden bed again. We have a really pretty grass by this, oh gosh, what is this called? It's not spearmint. It's like, gosh, I don't know. It's some kind of beautiful heuchera name. I can't think of it right now, you guys, but it's got beautiful blooms on it right now next to this grass. So what I ended up doing after I planted the pinpoint blue false cypress in this garden bed was I found some bricks that I still had laying around, and I just set the cloche on top of the bricks. So that seems to be working for now in terms of kind of protecting it from critters and that kind of thing. And I think that it will kind of work for winter, but I know that they can get up underneath of that, so I may have to just change it out at that time to like some fencing, but that's okay because in wintertime it's not as pretty out and I don't spend as much time in the garden, so I won't have to look at it. Now look at this azalea that we transplanted. It got a little bit stressed and we had some cool nights, and it has just put on some beautiful fall color. I've never seen it with such striking color on it. I love it. I hope it does well in its new home. This is a firelight, and this is such a gorgeous color. Every year I say certain hydrangea is my favorite, and right now this is my favorite in terms of panicle hydrangeas because I just love the color of it, and it has a little bit more open habit than things like the limelight or the little lime. Not quite as open as the diamond rouge, which is one that I love, but I just think that the color that this one has on it, as well as the growth habit, is just magnificent. I love the bobos too, but you know, this for today, I'm gonna say firelight. Do you guys have a favorite panicle hydrangea? Which one would you keep if you had to get rid of all of the hydrangeas in your garden except for one? That'd be a really, really hard choice for me. The daylilies are definitely looking a little worse for the wear with this heat. It's time to give them probably a cutback, or at least come through and take out some of the old browning foliage to make it look a little nicer along here. Well, here we have one bloom from this reblooming sweet daisy, birdie daisy, and that's about it. There's a bud that's next to it still. The long border is definitely taking on that fall feel. And let's take a look at some of the mums that are along here. Also, I remembered the name of this buddleia over here. It's called chrysalis. And this is a very, very small one. So if you think that you don't have room for a buddleia in your garden, this one is fantastic because it doesn't take up barely any room at all. Like, I think it's a 12 by 12 or 18 by 12, something like that. It's just like a mini one. So it's called chrysalis, and it has the most beautiful colored blooms on it as well. And then just take a look at the mum next to it that's beginning to open. I'll just kind of back away a little bit so you can see that, along with the one over here, are starting to give that darker rusty orange kind of hue to the garden that happens in fall. And we have all of the different hues that are happening over here kind of mingling together between the sedum and the vanilla strawberry hydrangea. And this is a bloodgood maple, but it's starting to kind of lose some of its color as well. To have gone through so much rain and then to go to none has to be fairly stressful on these plants. Now, usually during the day, the sedums are also covered in pollinators. And if you don't have autumn joy sedum, you know, I have to say it's one that is a stalwart. It just performs every single year. You can just count on it being there. Nothing really kills it at all. So it's fantastic to have in the garden. I love this picture right here. We have the different kinds of hydrangeas along with some evergreen beauty that is very chartreuse and bright, and that little devil nine bark. And then we have some little pops of color in the back with that red rose too. We don't have any buds open yet on the can-do hydrangea. They're still working their way out. I'm sure they'll come along soon, but the neon sedum is sure putting on a show over here. I can only imagine what this limelight is going to look like when it takes on its full form. These are some very, very beautiful blooms. And then another mum we have here that is beginning to open and put out its colors. I assume that by next week, we'll have really full blooms on all of our mums, so that should be super fun to look at. And that's just a glance back at the incredible hydrangeas through the path. So we have one last border to take a look at in the front. Let's head out through this gate. The mosquitoes are kind of out today, so I'm going to skip the way back today. Here we have the burning bush, but this one has not begun to turn colors yet. This is actually on just the east side of the house, so because of that, it doesn't get that much sun. It just gets the morning sun, so it doesn't change as much as, say, the one that my neighbor has. But it still does put out some nice color. So I haven't cut down any more echinacea, but I definitely intend to do that because I think the ones that are left in this garden bed are not doing it any favors. There's really not a whole lot, but like I said, the ones that are left do need to go. You can see some of the mums really took a beating with some of the rain that we had, just too much rain. So some of them died off, but we're getting some undergrowth now with some nice new buds. So hoping that those kind of fill in and cover up that dead foliage. This garden bed looks pretty otherwise, I think. I like the calibrachoa and how that's standing out right now. That does need some water, even though it's not a big, it doesn't need a lot of watering. It is not a thirsty hog or anything. So this is a spirea that I'm not really happy with how it's performed this year. Definitely has been an odd year, so maybe it will get better, but not really thrilled with it at this point. I'm trying to decide whether I want to leave it for one more year or if I should get rid of it. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Now the Oscar Peterson rose that is in the back of this garden bed is putting on some amazing rose hips. And let's just wander around to the back. I hope to be able to show you some of them because they're coloring up gorgeous, as are these beautiful orange mums out here in front. Just look at those. Aren't those amazing? So many people ask me about my mums and how I get them to come back. I just make sure I buy perennial mums, not florist mums. And then I make sure to plant them early on in the season, as early as I can get them. So the Oscar Peterson rose blooms this beautiful white rose. And the pollinators do love this one, and it has the most wonderful rose hips. So this one's putting on lots and lots of them. And let me show you some that it already has that have turned orange. If you are into making floral arrangements, I definitely recommend this one for the rose hips. Look how many there are on this. So many. And of course, the roses are beautiful. So there's that as well. All right, well, as we end this video, I'm just going to show you a long shot of the long border here, which looks great. And I appreciate you guys joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'd love to be able to get out in the garden with you sometime this week, so I hope you'll stay tuned and we'll be able to get some projects done again. Here's one last aster for your eyes. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.